December 15th, 66 million years ago, the Earth shuddered as a mountain-sized asteroid slammed into the Yucatan Peninsula. But what most people don't know is that this cosmic impact was just the final blow to creatures already dying from something far more terrifying. For nearly 1 million years before that fateful day, the planet had been choking on poisonous gases and molten rock as massive volcanic eruptions in India spewed death across continents, slowly strangling the dinosaurs in their own atmosphere. But here's what scientists are still debating. If those volcanoes were already killing the dinosaurs, could they have actually survived if the asteroid had never hit? December 15th, 66 million years ago, 11:47 a.m. The ground shook like thunder that never stopped. In what would one day be called Mexico, a chunk of space rock the size of Manhattan screamed through the sky at 45,000 miles per hour. The asteroid glowed white-hot, brighter than 1,000 suns, as it tore through the atmosphere in just 2 seconds. Then it hit. The impact crater spread 93 miles wide in an instant. Rock melted into glass. The ocean floor shot up like a fountain, creating waves 300 feet tall that raced across the ancient seas. But this was not the beginning of the end for the dinosaurs. This was just the final page in a story that had been written in fire and poison for almost 1 million years. Half a world away in what we now call India, the Earth had been bleeding molten rock for centuries. The Deccan Traps, as scientists would later name them, were not mountains but wounds in the planet itself. Every day, lava poured out like water from a broken dam. The flows stretched for hundreds of miles, burying forests and turning rivers to steam. Each eruption sent clouds of sulfur and carbon into the sky, painting sunsets the color of dried blood. The dinosaurs had been dying slowly, choking on the poisoned air. Plant-eating giants like Triceratops found their favorite ferns turning brown and brittle. The leaves tasted bitter with acid rain. Meat-eaters like Tyrannosaurus rex stalked through forests where fewer and fewer prey animals wandered. The food chain was breaking apart link by link, as invisible as smoke but as deadly as any predator's teeth. In the final moments before the asteroid hit, a young Triceratops lifted its massive head from a dying cycad plant. Its 3-horned face, normally bright with health, looked dull and tired. The animal's ribs showed through its tough hide. Around it, other dinosaurs moved like shadows of their former selves. The mighty herds that once thundered across continents had shrunk to scattered groups of survivors. The sky above them flickered with strange colors. Orange and purple clouds hung low, heavy with gases that burned their lungs with each breath. The sun looked pale and weak through the haze, like a candle behind dirty glass. Even the ocean nearby seemed wrong, its surface covered with a slimy green foam that smelled of rotten eggs. As the Triceratops took another labored breath, a new light appeared in the sky. This light was different, brighter, growing larger by the second. The asteroid was coming, but the dinosaurs were already dying. The Earth had been killing them slowly with volcanic poison, and now space was about to deliver the final blow with cosmic fire. To understand what really killed the dinosaurs, we need to travel back 1 million years before that famous asteroid ever appeared. The story begins not in space, but deep inside the Earth itself, in a place that would become India. Picture the planet as a giant balloon filled with hot liquid rock, and someone just poked a hole in it. The Deccan Traps were not traps at all, but cracks in the Earth's skin where melted rock poured out like blood from a wound. These were not the small volcanoes we see today. Imagine a crack in the ground that stretched for 300 miles, longer than the distance from New York to Washington. Now imagine that crack spitting out enough lava every single day to bury the entire state of Rhode Island under 30 feet of molten rock. The sound was like a freight train that never stopped. The lava glowed orange and red. hot enough to melt copper pennies in seconds. When it hit rivers, the water exploded into steam clouds that rose 20 miles high. When it reached the ocean, the seawater boiled and hissed like bacon in a pan, sending up walls of steam that could be seen from space. But the real killer was invisible. Every eruption shot poisonous gases into the sky like a dirty factory that ran day and night for centuries. Sulfur dioxide mixed with water to make acid rain that burned holes in leaves and turned lakes sour as vinegar. Carbon dioxide trapped heat like a thick blanket around the earth, making summers too hot and winters too warm. The air itself became poison. Plants began to die first. Ferns that had grown tall as trees for millions of years turned brown and crumbled to dust. Flowering plants that fed the plant-eating dinosaurs withered like flowers left too long in the sun. The great forests that covered the continents became graveyards of dead wood and brittle branches that snapped underfoot. The plant-eaters felt it next. Massive sauropods, dinosaurs as long as school buses with necks like construction cranes, wandered through dead forests looking for green leaves that no longer existed. Their huge stomachs, built to digest tons of plants every day, rumbled with hunger. Baby dinosaurs stopped hatching from their eggs because their mothers could not find enough food to make strong eggshells. The meat eaters followed close behind. Tyrannosaurus rex, the king of all predators, found fewer and fewer animals to hunt. Packs of smaller hunters like velociraptors turned on each other when there was nothing else left to kill. The roars that once shook the ground became weak calls echoing through empty valleys. For 900,000 years, this slow poisoning continued. The earth was cooking its own children with heat and choking them with gas. By the time that space rock appeared in the sky, the dinosaurs were already ghosts, walking through their own graveyard. As the volcanic poison spread across the world, the dying happened in waves, each one worse than the last. The first wave took the smallest creatures. Tiny mammals that scurried between dinosaur feet stopped having babies. Their fur fell out in patches, and their little hearts beat too fast before stopping forever. The buzzing of insects that had filled summer nights for millions of years grew quiet, then silent. The second wave struck the seas like an invisible sword. Fish floated belly up in water that had turned the color of rust. The acid rain made the ocean sour, dissolving the shells of creatures smaller than your thumbnail. These tiny sea animals were food for bigger fish, which were food for even bigger sea reptiles. When the bottom of the food chain died, everything above it starved. Massive sea monsters like Mosasaurus, ocean predators longer than city buses, became living skeletons swimming through empty waters. On land, the third wave brought the great collapse. Herds of triceratops that once numbered in the thousands shrank to dozens, then to ones and twos wandering alone through poisoned valleys. Their babies were born smaller and weaker, if they were born at all. The three-horned giants that had survived ice ages and droughts could not survive air that burned their lungs with every breath. The plant-eaters were not the only ones dying. Tyrannosaurus rex, the mighty king of dinosaurs, grew thin and desperate. These giants needed to eat 500 pounds of meat every day just to stay alive. But their prey was vanishing like smoke. Adult T-Rex began eating their own young when nothing else could be found. The roar that had terrorized other creatures for millions of years became a weak cry of hunger echoing through dead forests. By 67 million years ago, just 1 million years before the asteroid, the damage was nearly complete. Dinosaur species that had ruled the Earth for 165 million years were disappearing at a rate faster than new ones could evolve. Scientists count only 45 dinosaur species living in North America during those final million years, compared to over 120 species that had thrived before the volcanic nightmare began. The The few surviving dinosaurs moved like ghosts through a world painted in shades of gray and brown. Volcanic ash covered the ground like dirty snow that never melted. The sun appeared pale and weak through the poisoned sky, giving off light but little warmth. Rivers ran black with ash and acid. Even the rain hurt, leaving burn marks on skin and killing any plant it touched. In this dying world, something new appeared in the night sky. A bright dot of light growing larger each night, heading straight for Earth. The asteroid was coming to finish what the volcanoes had started, but it would find a planet where the age of dinosaurs was already ending, not with a bang, but with a million-year-long whisper of poison and pain. When the asteroid finally struck that December morning 66 million years ago, it found a world already transformed into a graveyard. The impact that scientists once thought killed the dinosaurs was really more like closing the lid on a coffin that volcanic poison had been filling for nearly 1 million years. The explosion that shook continents and boiled oceans lasted only minutes, but it ended a story that had been written in lava and toxic gas for centuries. Today, when we walk through museums and stare at the giant skeletons of Tyrannosaurus rex and Triceratops, we see them frozen at the moment of their cosmic death. But science has revealed a different truth. These magnificent creatures did not die in a single day of fire and darkness. They died slowly, gasping for clean air that no longer existed, searching for food in forests that had already turned to ash. The lesson echoes through time with a chill that touches our modern world. Right now, as you read these words, our own planet is warming faster than it has in 66 million years. We pump carbon dioxide into the sky every day from our cars, our factories, and our power plants. The ice at the North and South poles melts a little more each summer, just like the ice melted during those ancient volcanic years. Scientists measure the change in degrees and years, but the dinosaurs measured it in empty stomachs and poisoned lungs. In Yellowstone National Park, tourists can see what volcanic destruction looks like. Steam rises from cracks in the ground, and pools of water bubble with heat from deep inside the earth. The smell of sulfur hangs in the air like rotten eggs. This is a tiny taste of what the dinosaurs lived through every day for 1 million years, except their volcanic nightmare-covered areas, larger than entire countries, and never stopped. The small mammals that survived the Great Dying were no bigger than rats. They hid underground when the air became poison and ate insects when the plants died. Their children became our ancestors, every monkey and whale and human that followed. We exist because they were small enough to hide and smart enough to adapt when the giants could not. As the sun sets tonight, painting the sky in shades of orange and red that would have reminded any surviving dinosaur of their volcanic hell, we face our own moment of choice. The earth that killed the dinosaurs with slow poison is the same earth that cradles us now. It can nurture life beyond imagination, or it can cook it slowly in its own atmosphere. The dinosaurs never saw their asteroid coming, but they felt their world changing with every poison breath. We can see both our challenges and our choices. The question that remains is whether we will learn from the giants who died in whispers, or whether future creatures will puzzle over our bones and wonder why we did not listen to the warnings written in stone and ice.